Look, I make no bones about it. I'm a huge fan of the band Chicano Batman. I'm lucky enough to have seen them play at small clubs in Los Angeles over the years. And about 8 years ago, I interviewed them as their popularity was starting to expand well beyond Southern California. Well, they've gone on to enjoy a lot of success with a string of fantastic records, and they've built a very solid fan base. That includes very loyal fans here in the borderland. The band played to thousands of them here last month during a cold, windy night in East El Paso. Over the years, I've remained friends with guitarist Carlos Arevalo, and he introduced me to the band's opening act, Angelica Garcia, and the two of them are working on a new, exciting project. So let's first begin, before we talk about this exciting collaboration between the two of you, I want to chat first and foremost about getting back on the road in what is still a pandemic. We're in a much better position now, but this has been a strange time for musicians. So I'd like to get your thoughts on that. The record is about a year old now, more or less, is that right?
Yes.
So it comes out at the height of the pandemic almost,
yes.
Right? But only this month are you guys back on the road.
Yes.
Talk to me about Chicano Batman and where things stand.
Yeah, it was a shock as it was to everybody when the pandemic struck. I mean, we were all in on a 3-month straight tour, the whole country, parts of Canada, parts of Mexico, and we had sponsorship lined up, and the pandemic hit and that all went away, and you're just trying to think, okay, what do I do now? Because my whole way of creating income and my whole existential, way of being is now being questioned.
Yeah.
And we just, tried our best and just kept doing what we know best, which was continue to write music, make music, and somehow we were able to get through it with family support, and we're here and we're happy now that finally we get to perform in front of these audiences and that people are still have those tickets from 2 years ago. The tour was rescheduled twice already, and we're playing sold out shows all across the Midwest so far, and it's very humbling, and we can't thank our fans enough for sticking through it with us.
Let's talk a little bit about the record. Let's talk a little bit about where the band stands now, Chicano Batman. Talk to me about, this is a 4th record, yes, if I'm not mistaken. Give me your thoughts on how the band has arrived at this point.
Yeah, we're 13 years as a group. I've been in the band 10 of those years. And we've gone through immense growth. You don't wear the same, most people don't wear the same clothes they wore 13 years ago, or, are into some of the same things 13 years ago. So you want to just progress as a person, and you want that growth to be visible within your art. And that's definitely where we took the music in Invisible People. For some people, it was a complete left turn from what they were used to, but that's really where we were at as people, and it was where we arrived musically when we actually started having conversation with each other and listening to what we really were into musically, instead of thinking that our style of music was already preconceived for us. Mm-hmm. Before we came together based off 70s soul funk music, and those roots are still there, but we're more than that as people. We listen to other kinds of music and are inspired by different kinds of art and cinema, and we wanted that to be we wanted you to take that away from this new record. And so that's where we went with it. We had to just follow our own artistic, voice on this one, and that's where we went. And some people were very surprised by it, and some people love it and, get where we're going. And it's been a lot of fun playing these new songs live and seeing the reaction alongside big crowd favorites like Black Lipstick and Ito Tiani, which have been around for many years now.
True. I think that one of the roles that Chicano Batman plays is making a lot of people proud of who they are. And the fact that you wear your influences so proudly and then interpret them into your own art is what connects with people, in my opinion. You as an artist do much the same, and you're also another Southern California musician who, in what I've heard of you, you have your influences, but you are swimming through them to create your own art.
Well, I know that so I'm the songwriter, behind my whole project, and a lot of my writing and my art is very healing for me, and it's how I kind of come to terms with things that I don't understand about my own identity, things that I want to know more about, things that I want to connect more to. And it's really beautiful to me that something that is so personal for me does end up connecting with audience members, because some of those times of reflection can feel really lonely.
When someone is creating and connects with people, the thing that's often said is that artist has something to say. They have a voice, and it finds a place in the ethos where people connect to it. What do you have to say in this moment?
I really am trying to embrace and embody my own story for myself, and find out where that sits within my generation. My story is not my parents' story, it's not my grandparents' story. We're parallel and we connect in many ways, but I know that I'm not the same. And so moving through that identity and moving through that within the art can be really confusing sometimes, but I'm hoping that my voice comes out as kind of something therapeutic, or as something that other kids can relate to that kind of have like a mixed cultural background like me too.
You must believe in that voice. You're producing her next record.
Absolutely. Yes, I went to go see her perform at the Bootleg Theater in Los Angeles, and I think early 2020, I went with my wife. I was like, there's this artist that submitted to open for us. We already had an opener, so we couldn't take her along, but I saw her music and I was like transfixed. What is this? This is so unique and different. I can't place her influences. A lot of artists today, you can be like, oh, I kind of see who they're inspired by. Yeah. Her, it wasn't clear, and it just felt very unique. And my wife and I went to go see her perform. We were just blown away. She performed with a looping pedal and was just stacking her vocal harmonies and chord progressions over a drum machine. Yeah. And the crowd, she just had the audience, out of the palm of her hand. And I went up to her and asked her if she was interested in maybe collaborating on something, just get in the studio together. And we did that, and it was fun. And we just kept in touch, and we started talking and sending each other music and writing music. And eventually she asked me, would you like to produce my next record? And I wasn't sure if I wanted to do that because I believe so much in what she's doing. I didn't want to mess it up.
He didn't want to mess it up. He was all nervous. I was like, don't be nervous.
Yeah. And I spoke to my wife about it. She's like, Carlos, this is an honor that she's asking you this. And I always think back to this. I forget the artist that said this, but they said anytime someone asks you to do something artistically that you're scared of, that means you need to do it, because that means you're going to grow from it. And I went, full on, and she flew over to my home studio, and she lived with my wife and I on and off for 3 months. And before that, she was sending me music and demos for months, and it was amazing.
I sometimes feel like the layered vocals feel like chants, indigenous chants, and it's really pretty magical.
Thank you. I think like I have a song, for example, like Agua de Rosa, that the different vocal parts, to me, they're also like mimicking like the different voices of people in my past, or like the voices of ancestors, or like, so I really appreciated that Carlos saw my details, and it wasn't, he saw it for what it was, and he appreciated it, and it made it super easy to work with him. And I was basically telling him, like, we don't need anybody else, we could just work on it, the two of us. But we were in the thick of it for a while, but it was awesome.
Amazing. Carlos, Angelica, thank you both so much.
Yeah.
Thanks, Robert.
Thank you, Robert.
Angelica's new record, produced by Carlos, is expected to be released in the spring of next year. We'll be right back.